All right, welcome to this explainer. Let's just dive right in and actually transport you back in time to 1250 BC. We're heading straight to the city of Thebes, right during the reign of Ramesses the Great. Now, we always see those shiny gold masks and the majestic pyramids in our textbooks, right? But today, we're going to experience the gritty, everyday reality of ancient Egypt. And we're going to do it through the eyes of one very specific, very privileged individual.
So, picture this. You wake up in a whitewashed, three-room mud brick house. Well, actually, scratch that. You've probably been sleeping up on the flat roof because the nights down there are just relentlessly hot. But hey, you aren't just anyone. You are a scribe. And that status, it places you squarely in the elite 1%. It's a position that grants you this immense, incredibly rare power in a world where pretty much everyone around you is completely illiterate.
To actually get into this exclusive 1% slice, you had to memorize over 700 individual hieroglyphic signs. Think about that for a second. Your entire career, your comfortable house, your high status, the whole shebang exists solely because fewer than 1 in 100 Egyptians can read or write. You are literally the gatekeeper of information.
Stepping outside into the absolute suffocating 110-degree heat, wearing your crisp white linen and papyrus sandals, you head to your workplace, the Karnak Temple Complex. And wow, you are just dwarfed by these massive pylons standing 145 feet tall. As you walk through the Great Hypostyle Hall, it's packed with 134 colossal columns. They're so thick, the sky almost completely disappears. I mean, we are talking about the largest religious building on Earth at the time.
Okay, moving right along to day 2, bread, beer, and parasites.
So your temple supplied diet is honestly luxurious compared to the masses. I mean, look at dinner. Roasted duck, lentil stew seasoned with coriander, and imported red wine. Most peasants are out there surviving on just bread and beer alone. But wait, take a look at breakfast. That bread, it is absolutely full of grit and sand from the grinding stones. And because of this, it wears down absolutely everyone's teeth right to the nerve by the age of 30. Ouch. And that thick beer, you literally have to drink it through a straw just to filter out the floating grain husks.
And while you get to sit back and enjoy grilled tilapia from the Nile for lunch, the river actually hides a pretty horrific threat. Yes, the Nile gives life to Egypt, but its waters carry schistosomiasis. These are flatworms that infect absolutely everyone who wades in the shallows. They literally burrow right through your skin and slowly, silently, destroy your liver and bladder over a period of years. It's a real silent killer. But here is the craziest part. The crucial point is just how normalized this silent killer was. This parasite was so universal that the resulting blood in the urine was just considered a normal biological part of growing up. No joke. They don't even realize it's a symptom of a deadly disease. They just kind of view it as a male version of menstruation. Mind-blowing, right?
All right, here we are on day 3. Law, power, and papyrus.
Your morning is spent calculating grain taxes, and the pressure is on because a wrong number from your pen means a family literally starves. Then, in the afternoon, you're at the local court. A farmer gets caught moving boundary stones after the annual flood. Justice here is swift and it is brutal. You record the sentence on expensive papyrus. 20 strokes. They beat his feet with rods. And you might be wondering, why so violent? Well, because Egypt simply cannot afford to feed prisoners who don't work. There are absolutely no prisons here.
But in that very same court, you also record a divorce settlement initiated by a woman. And this is fascinating, because Egyptian women possess truly unparalleled legal rights. They could own land, run businesses, testify in court, and even keep a third of shared property in a divorce. These are legal rights that just wouldn't be seen again in neighboring regions for over 2 millennia. It was absolutely ahead of its time.
Let's jump over to day 4. Gods, gold, and garlic.
So you're working in the outer halls, because almost nobody gets into the inner sanctum where those gold-skinned statues sit in total darkness. And here, you witness this massive redistribution of wealth that's basically disguised as religion. Mountains of bread, meat, and wine are delivered every single day. The idea is that the gods consume the spiritual essence of the food. Then the physical food is passed down the chain. The priests eat, and then you, the scribes, finally get your share.
But get this, to even step foot in those outer halls, you have to undergo a strict, mandatory purification ritual twice a week. You shave your entire body, head, arms, legs, the whole shebang, because the priests consider body hair deeply impure. You rinse thoroughly in sacred water, chew natron salt to cleanse your mouth, and wear only fresh white linen. Wool? Absolutely forbidden inside those temple walls.
In the afternoon, you take on a private commission for a wealthy merchant. You're transcribing spell 125 from the Book of the Dead. You carefully paint this terrifying sequence known as the weighing of the heart. It goes like this. If the dead man's heart is heavier than the feather of truth, it gets eaten by Amit. That's a monster with a crocodile head, a lion body, and hippo legs. And that results in absolute oblivion. But if it balances perfectly, he gets eternal life.
Which brings us to day 5, the Sunu and the Strike. That unbearable heat finally takes a toll on you and you develop a fever. Your schistosomiasis is acting up again. So you visit the Sunu, that's the physician, who checks your pulse, blending real practical medical observation with magic spells from the Ebers Papyrus. And there is a stark contrast in how you're treated here. He gives you a garlic and honey mixture for 1 copper deben. Now, it might not actually cure you, but your elite status means you can afford to stay home and rest. A sick peasant with those exact same symptoms, they have absolutely no choice but to go right back out to the fields the very next day.
Later that evening, a sculptor neighbor tells you a story. 12 years ago, at the royal workshops of Deir el Medina, the craftsmen's rations of grain and beer were late. So, you know what they did? They simply walked off the job and sat right at the temple gates until they were paid. This is literally the first recorded labor strike in human history. And the most amazing part? It actually worked.
Moving right into day 6, the Festival of Opit.
During this massive month-long festival, the state completely throws open its stores. They redistribute bread and beer to the public, while the golden boat of Alman is paraded right through the streets. It is essentially politics disguised as religion. But it's all driven by this core concept, ma'at. That's truth, balance, and cosmic justice. This shared joy, this collective belief that the universe actually has an order and that everyone's place in it matters, that is what truly held the Egyptian empire together for 3,000 years. For sure, far more than any army or pharaoh ever could.
And finally, day 7, death and the afterlife.
You cross the Nile to the West Bank, straight into the land of the dead, just to inspect your own tomb being cut into the rock. It's costing you 3 whole years of salary to paint Anubis and Osiris on those walls, but you really have to prepare early. Because despite your immense privilege, your better diet, and your ability to rest, the average lifespan in this society is a mere 35 years. Infection, parasites, and the sheer toll of daily life, they come for everyone eventually.
And even more devastating is the catastrophic infant mortality rate. Heartbreakingly, 1 in 3 children won't even live to see their 5th birthday. It is this profound, visceral grief that is known intimately by literally every single family in Egypt, no matter how high or low their status.
Inspecting that tomb really brings you crashing back to reality. You realize that beneath all those golden statues, the grand rituals, and those colossal pillars of Karnak, this entire civilization rested on a completely brutal, unrelenting hierarchy. The pharaoh is above everyone. Priests are above you. You, the scribe, are above the peasants. But disease and mortality, they sit above absolutely all of it.
Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought to chew on. When you strip away all that mythical sheen of ancient Egypt, the glittering tombs and those massive monuments, and you really look at the grit in the bread, the parasites in the water, and the broken backs of the laborers, what was the true human cost to building the greatest wonders of the ancient world? Think about that the next time you see a picture of the pyramids. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning history.